Hi everyone, it's Darlene. Welcome to this week's card video. Today I'm using two Stampin' Up! Sets. One is Fabulous Florets and the other is Pleasant Poppies. The last time I used the Pleasant Poppies, I used it as a focal point, and this time I'm using it as a background. I've got a very light ink called Wet Cement by Hero Arts, and I use the stamp upside down just because I think it's easier to get good coverage on a background stamp that way. Okay, I've got this little tiny cup that I sprayed water just to cover the bottom with. And then I'm taking my paintbrush and I'm loading it up with water, and then I'm going to pull color from, this is an Inktense pencil, from the tip. And then I'm going to lightly sort of bang it on my hand there, on the side of my hand, and the water's going to flick, the colored water is going to flick onto the paper. And that's how I'm getting these paint splatters. So I'm doing it a couple of times here. If you used a bigger brush, you would get bigger marks. I just wanted kind of a light coloring, and this is the same color I'm going to make my flowers, so I just wanted a little bit of a coordinating color in the background. Alright, next I'm going to black emboss my flowers here, and I'm going to use Versamark ink and black embossing powder, and I'm doing some watercolor. Somebody asked me on my new Ask Me page about what ink I use with watercolor, and I tend to emboss more often than not with the watercolors just because it helps me keep things in the line. Okay, so I slowed it down a little bit here. This is an Inktense pencil. It's a watercolor pencil. And what I'm doing is I'm going into the darkest areas of the flower, so where the shadows would be, which is going to be generally on the inside of the petal and then along the edges and at the tip. And I'm not applying too much pencil because it's actually quite thick and it's very rich in color. And I'm going to take an aqua painter, which is a water-filled pen, kind of. It's got a brush, and I'm keeping a tissue handy. It's important to start in the white area. So I'm starting in the white and then I'm moving towards the color. And it blends beautifully, but the key is you've got to stop once you've hit that color and then clean off the brush so that it's clean again. And start in the white and then move to the color and then clean off your brush. And that allows you to get a good contrast between the light and the dark areas of your flower. Now if I didn't wipe off my brush, I'd get basically the whole petal would be red. Alright, so I'm going to show you another petal here. Oops, wrong pencil. Again, I'm coloring the shadow areas just a little bit. You don't need too much. Generally in the center, around the edges, and then my petal kind of has a little overlap there at the top, and I'm going to color the back end of that because that's where a shadow would be. And then I'm using my aqua painter. You could also use a paintbrush. Again, start in the white area and move to the color. These pencils get a really rich color. And the reason why I love Fabulous Florets, I know I've said that's one of my favorite sets, is because it's got flowers, two flowers that are outlined flowers. They're different flowers and they're both from the side view, so they're not like you're looking, a lot of flowers you're looking straight down on them, and that's kind of hard to do like a group of flowers that way. I like to have mine looking from the side, and so these are two flowers that are on the side that are different that coordinate, so that's the reason why I love this stamp set so much. Anyway, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I'm going to finish up all my petals. Another reason I like this set is because it has a leaf, a really nice leaf that coordinates, and you can color it. Now if you notice I got that red spot in the middle there, it's because I didn't wipe my brush well enough, and so I just sort of try to cover it up, but it's a handmade card, so I think it's okay. So I'm just going to show you this one flower, and then I'll show you a leaf, just so you kind of get the main idea. I also got if you click tutorials on the top menu of my blog, there's a easy watercoloring technique, and I go into specifics about how I'm doing this in that video as well, if you wanted to see something else using this technique. See, here I am pulling it directly from the pencil just because I wanted a little bit extra color. Alright, now I'm going in with my leaf, leaf here. This color is another Inktense pencil. I think it's called Beach Green. I'll have the colors on my blog in the supply section. And I'm going to color the center of the leaf and then maybe out a little bit on the bottom. And again, I'm going to take my aqua painter. I'm going to start in the white area and I'm going to move toward the color. You can always pull more color out to the white area, but it's really hard, if not impossible, to remove the color from the white area once you've laid it. And also notice I'm using Neenah Silver White cardstock. I really don't use watercolor paper a lot. I tend to use just my regular cardstock. I don't know if it's just because I'm lazy or what, but this seems to be sufficient. I mean, the paper does curl a little bit, but when you're working with such small things, I think it's fine. And then also, I'm cutting them out and popping them up on a card, and so the fact that they're, you know, a little rigid and curly actually adds to the watercolor effect. Now, I pulled this stem out of the Secret Garden set, and I'm going to use my Stamp-O-Majig. I'm prepping it here. And I'm going to use this stem to upside down and right side up, different ways, so that I can get different stems on these flowers so that they're not all going in the same direction. And I use my Stamp-O-Majig just to get it lined up perfectly. And I'm stamping this in black ink so that it's part of my foreground. Another thing is I tend to use 3 flowers generally. Sometimes not, but usually I use 3 flowers whenever I'm doing a bouquet of some sort or a display of flowers. Okay, this is the same color I used on the green, on the leaf, and I'm just coloring it in. And then I'm just really blending it so it doesn't look like a pencil. It looks more like watercolor. I'm not using too much water because I don't want it to go outside the lines here. And I didn't emboss it, so I have to be careful about that. Now there's a piece of the stem that didn't go to the edge of the cardstock, so I just used a marker and filled it in. Alright, now I'm going to stamp my sentiment. This is the Curly Cute Sentiment by Stampin' Up. It's actually retiring, so if you want to get it, you need to get it before, actually in the next couple of weeks. And there's my head. The camera's right above, so sometimes if I have to get up close, I gotta stick my head in there. And I usually edit that part out, but I wasn't able to do that here. Alright, this is yet another Stampin' Up set called Summer Silhouettes. And I really like the leaves on this, and I thought I needed something else at the bottom. So I'm using Wild Wasabi ink. And I'm stamping, first I'm stamping directly with the ink, and then I'm stamping off on a paper. And so that gives me the lighter colored leaves that look like they're in the background. So I'm just kind of eyeballing this to see if I need anything else, and I just want to do one more. And I think that's good. Okay, now I'm going to adhere this to colored cardstock, which you hardly ever see on my blog. I never use colored cardstock, except for black, of course, and brown. But it's Wild Wasabi, so it matches the ink I just used on the leaves. And I'm going to adhere my sentiment, and then I'm going to use Dimensionals, which is just some Stampin' Up! Foam adhesive to pop those flowers up. And then I place my leaves. I originally put a dimensional on there, but then decided they were just too small to do that. So I got my 2A glue pen out, and I just adhered them directly to the card face. And I overlapped that front petal a little bit onto the sentiment just to give it a little bit more dimension. And now I'm adhering it to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch folded cardstock. And that'll do it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next week. Thanks for watching.